On the topic of men, do you think saying men are trash hinders or helps the relationship between men and women?
No.
No, what do you mean no?
No.
It does,
Definitely
because
not.
I think it reminds them, it's an awareness, exactly. It reminds them that they need to step up to the plate.
I think they're very aware.
When people hear men are trash, they usually assume that we're talking about, oh, men are cheaters or men are liars or men are dogs.
Which they are.
So what do you think? What does
But
it
that's
mean?
not what it's about.
Okay, what is it about?
It's about acknowledging their place in society and telling them
patriarchal angle that they have played.
if you want to use patriarchy and step it down. Exactly. And it's just telling them that they need to acknowledge that a lot of things that they have gotten away with because of patriarchy needs to stop. So when we talk about men are trash, we're not saying men are trash because, you know, your MCM's not replying. Yeah. No, we're saying men are trash.
Why don't you point at me like that?
No, but when on Twitter, this all sounds all airy-fairy.
It's not airy-fairy, it's reality.
On Twitter, let's keep it real, yeah. On Twitter, every time I've seen men are trash, they're talking about men are trash in relationships. Someone's cheated, this, that, and the other.
We can still use it for that.
It depends on who you follow, because when I see men are trash, I see a lot of comments about rape, domestic violence, abuse, consent. So I also think it depends on who you follow, because there are a lot of young girls on there talking about men are trash, my man cheated on me, and there are also women on there talking about men are trash because I was a victim of domestic abuse. Men are trash because disproportionately women are raped at an exceedingly high amount compared to men. So I also think you have to take that into account. So when people do say men are trash, in my opinion, one, I don't think they are necessarily saying, all men are trash, you all suck, you must die. Like, no, it's not that deep.
Actually, some people do say that. Some people do say that.
But I think when they say men are trash, it's
we're not gonna go there.
As a patriarchal group and society, like you said, as a whole, men do a lot of trash things.
They do.
Yes.
So, but women do trash things too.
I mean,
so
okay, but you understand
So
that...
are women are women
Start your own
trash?
hashtag, but you understand that they benefit from society and we don't.
And we
you
don't.
get that.
Economically as well.
But why do we have to say men are trash? Why
Because
can't
they
we
want to
say...
acknowledge their privilege,
you
which
do...
is trashy behaviour.
Yeah, but I don't
it's
think
the same
men...
way,
I don't
it's
think...
the same way when we talk about race and we say like, oh, like, for white people to help like black people, they need to like not let go of their power, but they need to help us as well.
Be an ally.
They need to be an ally.
but in that instance, we're not saying white people are trash. We're saying white people come and understand where we're coming from. But with men, we're saying men are trash.
I think
so.
When
How is that going to encourage men?
It's a nice hook.
It sounds good on a t-shirt.
Yeah, but how does it feel? How does it feel on the part of men? Like, how is it meant to be encouraging to
go
men?
to Amina's point, I've had men DM me saying, look, I am an ally to women. I believe I'm a feminist. I look out for women. I care about women's issues. But to see men are trash every day online is really difficult for me. And they have asked me, like, my opinions and whatnot. But can you see it from their point of view?
I get it.
Because do you know what? I don't care. I'm not here to like wipe anybody's tears because they're not the ones. But they're not. Wait, I'm coming. Let me land. They're not the ones who are going through domestic abuse. They're not the ones who are being raped. They're not the ones who are being catcalled. They're not the ones who are having to, fear for their life every time they walk down a road around 10 p.m. 8 a.m. And this is
obviously men
exactly
experience
like
some.
They do, but not near as close as women.
I do
So I think it's ridiculous that sometimes even I swear to God, guys, if one of us just go down the road and if you don't get catcalled by someone around the junction, I will honestly put money in someone's PayPal.
Yeah, but girls catcall too.
But it's very unlikely.
No,
Amina wants to be a man.
Amina, do you want to?
I'm not on the side of Amina, but what I do understand the idea of like, obviously, like I get what you're saying, like it's true. But I do understand as well the premise of the fact that constantly saying that men are trash, especially in relation to relationships and stuff like that. I don't think
there are bigger issues.
Like it's affecting their
mental.
It's not.
Thank you. They can get over it. Boo-hoo. Like there are bigger things going on in the world.
Do you think men are trash is a trend? Because I personally think it's a trend.
No, I think it will continue until things.
I think because of the internet, everybody's sharing their stories more, and we're all noticing these things more, which I think is really good. Like it lets us see that these things aren't made up. Everyone's going through the same thing, and we all have a story that we can relate to or know someone who has a story that we can relate to.
But I just don't feel like, obviously I've got brothers.
Okay,
and
wow, the savagery.
Like I have brothers, right? And I wouldn't appreciate it if like women saying that my brother is trash. But
then
and that's what I mean though. Like but that's what in relation to the fact that someone DM'd Tony and was like,
then that's what she should have told him.
On the flip side, I have a brother and he doesn't he doesn't think men are trash is an issue because he knows he's not trash. So for him, it's like, okay, they say men are trash. Men are trash. I'm not trash. But men are trash. And
the thing is, they know they're trash.
He looks at it from the point of an ally, and he understands the purpose of the hashtag, the purpose of the statement. Of course. So if you talk to my brother about men are trash in its entirety as a hashtag, he's not offended. He's not offended because he doesn't fall into that category. But what's ironic about Twitter, the men that get the most angry
are the
trashiest ones,
the sleaziest.
Yes,
they're triggered. Yes.
The ones that are misogynist, the ones that harass, the ones that ridicule women, the ones that bully women, they're the ones who are most anti-men are trash.
Okay, let's throw this. I'm just going to play devil's advocate. No, I don't play. I play God's advocate. I am not the devil's advocate. I am God's advocate. Okay. What I was going to say is that if you were categorized into a particular group, and a whole bunch of people were saying something about this particular group constantly all the time, would you not feel away or feel triggered that you are putting me in this group
and I'm not
that?
If my group was doing that, then I can't make any noise. I'm sorry, but since growing up, we have always, let's be real, since growing up, have you not had uncles or cousins who are men who said, don't talk to him or do you know what I mean? Like always warning you about boys because they knew what they were capable of. Now that we know what they're capable of, they don't want us to read. They don't want us to tell them. They don't want us to like share the message. Why are we not allowed to do that?
So what about in terms of the younger generation coming up? So obviously
What about them?
What's your problem?
You know you're gonna have kids one day.
I was gonna land.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Right, let me
what
land.
About them?
But I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, okay?
I'm very
don't bite my head
clearly.
off, okay? Yeah, but I'm just saying, do you feel like them constantly seeing that? What do you think that does to?
I think they're probably participating in the conversation. The younger generation are very woke. They're actually probably more pro men are trash or pro any political issue than we are. We're probably the most lukewarm generation. They're on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're not participating in the conversation or aware of it.
I feel like we're also raising kids and teenagers with a new level of awareness. Like for example, Oloni, consent is sexy. I think more young people are aware of exactly what consent means. And the fact that if a woman doesn't say yes or doesn't say no, that still doesn't mean she says yes, for example.
And I'm down for that. I'm down for like, consent is sexy. I'm down for, domestic violence is not okay. Like all of these things that we're talking about, I'm down for it. But my thing is, it's just that term of constantly saying that men are trash. And I'm not like backing,
speaking it into existence.
I'm not backing guys. I'm not saying that they're not, I'm not like going against everything that you said is true. Like, everything, but my issue is with that term, men are trash.
Do you think the suffragettes had to use non-violent methods to get their point across?
But it's just, I just don't think
like men are trash is literally like the
least of their worries.
No,
I get it, but just speaking that
at a disadvantage, and the
gap
is still so
far.
No, I get it,
but why must we say? I just don't understand.
Okay, so what should we do? Stroke a man's ego?
No, it's nothing to do with stroking a man's ego. But I just think that, like I said, we're having this conversation and we're saying that it's coming from a standpoint of domestic violence, rape,
it's just patriarchy,
inequality, and all of that stuff, right? That's because we're having that conversations. However, sometimes when you do see it online, that discussion, like you said, is depending on who you're following, but that conversation is not being had. So it's just saying men are trash because men do this and men do that, and you have some men who actually
and then
do
this
not
is why
do that.
the guys that don't do it just
we're not doing it on a serious
mute the hashtag
level.
and you'll never have to see it.
But the thing is, I feel like if back to the whole thing about the younger generation, if they are like 14, 15, 16 going upwards and they're coming into this whole conversation, they've not experienced men being trash in their lives, but you're telling them that men are trash.
People experience men being trash from 4 or 5 years old.
If they've not experienced that, if they've not experienced, if they have a great dad at home, okay, that's not beating up their mum.
That's very rare.
And that is great. But they're going to go into the big bad world and realise that these issues exist.
You're pre-warning them that men are trash.
Regardless, they need to know.
So do you think that the statement men are trash, you think that's progressive? You think that is that?
I think it's only
causing
more divide.
No. I'm just asking. Like, do you think that is something that is progressively causing
just like Me Too, it's a conversation.
Men are trash. Oh, relationship. Men are trash. Oh, this. Men are trash. Men are trash.
Like in that way.
Yeah, but I'm saying that you may not be saying it in that way, but I have heard it in that way, and that's what I'm addressing.
And that's why you ignore the people who say it in that way.
See, my thing is like I've never written it on Twitter, but my thing is in the correct context, it creates dialogue that we need.
Yeah.
So it's a problem when people take it out of context. The same way some people take other hashtags that aren't deemed as irresponsible out of context, and it's a problem. If you're not taking it out of context, then men won't be angry. Because if they see you writing a tweet about rapists and then men are trash, it's like, okay, that applies. But if you're just saying, oh, men are trash because they're breathing, they're living, then it's taken out of context.
That's where the problem
so that is a problem. I completely agree.
Problem.
I completely agree.
That's counterproductive.
But I don't think just because certain people or a few people are using the hashtag in the wrong way, it should
scrapped.
But
that's saying it should be scrapped. I'm just asking. Like, it's a conversation. I'm just saying, is it progressive? Is there a better way?
What would it be?
I can't tell you what my better hashtag.
Men are problematic. Men are problematic.
That's strong
it doesn't have a ring.
It doesn't have a ring to it.
And it's unnecessary.
It's a trend. So it's a trend then.
It's unnecessarily euphemistic.
It's a hook.
Yeah.
It's a trend.
It's a hook that is
It's a trend.
something that is
Something
of
cannot
meaning.
trend if it is actually reality.
It's still a trend. Hey guys, it's Amina. Here are my top 3 tips on how to stay motivated. Number 1, always remember why you started. As long as you remember your why, it should give you the motivation to continue and to keep going, no matter how difficult things might be. Always revert back to your why, the bigger picture. Number 2, don't burn yourself out. Don't be afraid to take breaks when needed so you can recoup, refresh, and restart. Number 3, always look for ways for you to remain inspired, whether that means reading a book, listening to a podcast, watching a YouTube video. Just always try and find ways where you can be inspired in what you're doing. Those are my 3 tips on how to stay motivated. Hopefully they were of help to you.
But then I'm thinking as well, like, and what about vulnerability? So in terms of when you're being vulnerable, do you feel like you are vulnerable early on in a relationship, or do you hide? I don't even want to say relationship. I'll say like in the beginning of when you like
I'm
meet
vulnerable
them.
all day.
I wear my emotions.
Do you hide much of it, or does you have to be the right guy?
I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Like, if I'm comfortable with you, and to a certain degree, like, I wear my emotions on my sleeves.
Right.
I don't think I'm like that anymore, maybe because I've just come out of a long relationship. So I feel like right now my guard is all the way up, and I've been used to someone for so long that being able to open up to someone like that would be very foreign to me.
I'm vulnerable all day, every day. Like,
You can't come and kill me, honestly.
I have issues. Like, I've always dealt with being vulnerable, and this is not got nothing to do with relationships because I've only ever had one boyfriend in my whole life. But in terms of like just people in general.
Why do you keep referencing that?
One
Because it
boyfriend.
just makes it funny.
Now you're making me laugh because I was just like,
It's hard.
yeah.
Like literally just in general, as me, as Amina, like I have trust issues, and I find it difficult to be vulnerable with people. And over time, I've had to I've acknowledged this about myself, and I've been able to work on it over time. And yes, it does come into play when it comes to friendship relationships and dating relationships, in terms of I don't want to get hurt. My first relationship was my first boyfriend, my first everything. I had a child. That person was the only person I knew. So me coming out of that and being single all this time is like you just build this wall because you want to protect yourself. You don't want to have to go back to that place where you can be vulnerable and you can get hurt. But obviously it's dangerous because I don't want to be an old woman with 5 cats and still single.
Not at
so
all.
I know that I have to at some point be able to be open and let someone in.
Would you say then wearing your heart on your sleeve can be a negative thing? Can it allow men or just anyone in general to take advantage?
Yeah,
I think it can, but I think at the same time, in order for you to even like get into a relationship with someone, you have to. Do you know what I mean? You have to like wear your heart.
But in the beginning,
and you have to be. I think you just have to be open.
But you can be observant.
Yeah.
Take
wise.
And
That's
be
wise.
for when you do that.
But
I
think a lot of people don't learn from their past dating encounters.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've done all the wrong things and they still take that exact thing to the next guy they've met, and it's just like, babe, there was a reason why it didn't work out. Exactly, make better choices. I think it's not a bad thing to wear your hearts on your sleeves because it shows that you're an open person. And I don't think being an open person is such a negative thing.
I don't
but
think
there
so
are
either.
sharks out there. You've got to protect yourself. And
Because I think a lot of women are very open early on with guys that aren't actually vulnerable with them.
Men don't tend to be that.
They don't. And you start asking them questions, they'll be like, you're asking man bare questions, you know. You the feds.
I didn't know we were going to get this deep. Wow, hold on.
I had one guy ask me if this was an interview. I said, okay.
Wow.
You're saying the wrong people.
In the defense of some men, I can't believe I'm saying this, but no, I'm joking. In the defense of some men, it is hard for them to be vulnerable because of how society portrays
fragile masculinity.
Yes. So I think that's why, you know, when men are like, oh, toxic masculinity, I hate the term, it kind of works in their favor, because toxic masculinity also says that you should be able to speak your mind and be vulnerable and be soft, and people shouldn't be judging you for it. But I feel like so many guys aren't vulnerable because they've been told they can't open up, they can't cry, they can't speak about their past, they can't speak about what they went through. So it's almost like a catch-22, because we want guys to be vulnerable, but they don't want to be vulnerable because everything since they've been little has been like, don't be vulnerable.
And to also play devil's advocate as well.
Are you not tired?
Yes. Oh, Amina, please. A lot of times some women don't appreciate it when the guy is vulnerable.
Yeah.
If you were to go on a date, maybe you're 3 dates in, you start getting a little bit deep and he just starts crying, what do you do?
Why would you cry for starters? Because I'm not crying.
Oh my God!
You see, this is why men are not open.
No.
This is why men are not open.
Listen, being soft doesn't mean you need to cry. What is that?
This is
Wait,
why men are not open.
I don't understand. Wait, crying about working.
You know what? No.
Time out.
The guy is talking about his past and the things that he's been through.
Okay, his past.
And he's upset.
See, I would get scared if a
And he got
girl started
triggered.
crying, if I made friends with a girl and we met up 3 times and then she starts
His
crying.
dad texts him in the middle of the date.
Okay, that's
to tell him you mean nothing to me, whatever.
Yeah, then
he starts
that's okay.
crying.
But if he starts crying out of nowhere.
No, he's not crying out of the blue. There's a reason.
There's a reason.
But I don't think you're okay with that.
No, I would.
No,
I mean,
No, the way
I'm not
you
used
said
to
that
it.
with your chest, yeah.
Because I thought he would just
Probably
be
walk
crying.
away from the table.
I'm not that hot.
Do you know what? When I was in
I'm not a
uni,
cold
my
person,
uni
so it's
boyfriend wrote me
impossible.
like some poems and love letters, and I remember my friends at the time being like,
girl.
"Ugh, like this is so cheesy, this is so corny," and I remember thinking,
No, I
"Oh,
love
this is
cheese.
so sweet." But there are some women who are like, "No,
I think they're lying.
be hard."
I think
They're
it's
jealous. They're jealous. They're jealous.
No, a guy was really like quite.
You didn't like him.
I didn't want to say exactly, but it was quite like along the same lines of poetry
romantic.
or whatever. And I remember feeling like, I just remember feeling my heart filled with, like my heart just felt gripped with fear because suddenly.
Really?
Not because I'm scared of him, but it was just like I said, it's that thing of what you're used to, and then you suddenly experience something new. You're like, whoa, this is real.
But I also think that like the same way we have to decipher when to wear our heart on our sleeves, I think sometimes men and women need to decipher like when you do stuff like that. Like if it's day 2 and you're doing 5-page love letter, it's like, okay.
That's creepy.
But if it's
keep it in your drafts.
Yeah,
like if a girl wears a heart on her sleeve, is that still the same?
A guy would run as well. A guy would run.
If she's planning out wedding colours, bridesmaid dresses, and all
doing
that,
pink
that's just creepy. That's just creepy.
It's
But I'm
Like,
thinking
keep it to yourself.
Like if there's someone that you know and that you're dating or you're familiar with this person and they open up to you and the guy starts crying, are you gonna have a problem with? Are you gonna be like, why are you crying for? Like,
no, I'm gonna give him a hug.
I think it really does. I'll give him a hug. I'll probably like, you know,
You
just.
wouldn't.
but you go in group chat. You go in group chat and be like, why are you crying for?
I just love when men cry.
Really?
Oh my God! Like if a man cries, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
You're having his babies.
I'm having his children.
Do you want your guy to cry?
Angry.
Do you want your guy to cry at your wedding?
No.
Oh my God! Yes, you better cry.